Hey everybody out there. This is Lee with the Tavern Brawlers and Johnny with Ion Games. Johnny, why don't you tell everybody who you are and a little bit about this game before we get started here?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Johnny, Johnny Hinkle. I am a game publisher, game designer, game illustrator, comic writer, um, graphic designer, all sorts of stuff. This game is the Ionverse. It is a superhero comic style CCG slash TCG style of game. Um, and it does have some very unique elements to it, but it should feel pretty familiar to anybody that plays head-to-head style card games.
Yeah. Definitely looks like there's a lot going on here right away. Just right out the bat here, but we got some directions on the side here. The turn sequence that's going to be useful as well. I'm gonna tip that up for the screen here. We got the turn sequence.
Yep. And let me ask you this: the first question I need to ask you is,
Mm-hmm.
do you prefer villains or heroes?
Oh, I'll go with villains because I like the duality story of there's always a reason why a villain became a villain.
Yeah, that's true.
So
All
just a
right.
quick glance at the turn sequence. We have start of turn, active player refreshes team leader, gain up to 10 clout, drop to 6 cards, may gain boons from controlled locations. Non-active player may gain boons from secured locations. Turn open zone locations face up. Attempt to control. Oh, hitting the wrong button. Attempt to control and secure. So active player chooses a location on open, paying 1 clout, or secured, paying 2 clout zone. Place the chosen location on a contested zone and begin a battle. End of turn. All players may discard any number of cards from their hand, and active player passes the next player. So right out the bat here, just reading the turn sequence, it seems like we are about to have a turf battle where we are literally fighting for segments of pieces of zones of a town or a city or something.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So walk me through, how do I start?
Sure. So I'm going to go over some card basics. You're going to probably understand most of them since you play card games. Um, but let me just walk through them real quick.
Yep.
Um, so this card here is called the Team Leader card. The Team Leader is basically, it represents you. It's kind of like a commander in Magic, but if it's defeated, you lose the game. So if the health of your team leader is ever reduced to 0, you lose the game.
Okay.
So
How
that's
much
one of your win
how
conditions.
how much health
The
does a hero start out with?
the team leader's health is listed in the top left.
Okay.
Uh, then you have the team leader name. Then you have the icon of the team that team leader is part of, and that name is listed here. So this icon is the demolition team.
Okay.
This here means that the villain or that the character is a villain. So for deck building purposes, um, you can't have heroes in your deck. So if your team leader has villain on it, you can only have villains in your deck or mercenaries.
Okay.
Uh, the next thing on your team leader card, you have 3 different text boxes. The top one is a passive effect. It's something that's always on. It's always available to you. You can always use it no matter what, even if the card is turned sideways. That's called exhausted. The next one is called a payment effect. So in this game, you pay something called clout, which is the resource in the game. That can be tracked over here. Uh, and you turn the card to the side. So you pay that number in this little box here, turn the card to the side, and then you get to utilize that effect.
Okay.
The last thing on there is called a morality effect. It's going to be heroism or villainy, depending on which side you're on. In
Right.
this case, it's villainy. So this number here is a requirement. So you're going to track your heroism and villainy on your morality scale, which is over here.
Okay.
As long as you have 4 villainy, you can use that. So it's not a cost; it's just a requirement. You turn the card to the side, indicating that you would like to use it, and then you get to use that effect. So basically, if the card is sideways, you can't use it for its other effects except the passive one.
Okay.
All right. On the first turn of the game, both team leaders are in something called the secret hideout. The
Mm-hmm.
secret hideout basically it just says that on the first turn, neither of our characters can be used, neither of them can be affected by opposing players' effects or our own effects, and neither of them can take damage. So
Do
basically,
you
what?
do you know who your opponent's hero or
Yeah,
villain is?
yeah. So this only applies on the first turn. So
Yeah.
some team leaders actually have pre-game game construction effects. So your opponent will know who you are. This is just a reminder, basically, that you're in your secret hideout on your first turn.
Okay. Hey, thanks for the follow, Butter Kingly.
All right. So this right here is
Yes.
normally where something called a path would go. In the normal game, not the sample game, your path gives you extra win and loss conditions, and it's something that you use to uh, in your deck construction. So
Mm-hmm.
it's another way for you to kind of be unique and play the game how you want to play it. But for the
Nice.
sample game, we're not going to worry about it.
Yep. Alternative means of winning and losing. It's pretty
Yep.
cool.
All right. So let's talk about what's in your actual play deck here.
All right. So the play deck is here to the left of my traits. What are the traits, real quick?
Yeah, we'll get into that. This is
Okay.
like this is just a reference card, but let's talk about the characters real quick because the characters are what's going to have the traits. So your character cards in the top left are going to have the cost to put them into play. So you pay that clout cost, and then you get to put it into play.
Okay.
Um, so the way it works is you read down the turn sequence, and the turn sequence talks about starting a battle, right? The first sequence of a battle is called the assemble sequence. The assemble sequence, we're going to be taking actions back and forth. Those actions are things like playing characters, playing objects, using morality effects on character cards, using excess actions on objects, and I'll talk about those in a moment. But basically, the assemble sequence is the meat of the fight, right? It's setting everything up before we actually attack each other.
Okay.
So you pay this clout cost to put the card into play during the assemble sequence, and then you get to put it into play. You have the name of the character to the right of that.
It's pretty cool.
Then you
They
have,
dizzy.
yep. Then you have the defense and attack values of the character. The defense
Okay.
value is basically the health of the character. So if that character takes damage equal to or exceeding their defense value, they're defeated and moved to the landfill, which is our discard pile.
Yeah.
Their attack value is their damage output. So if and when they attack, that their attack value is how much damage they're going to be dealing when they attack.
Yeah.
This icon just represents that is the team that character's part of.
Oh, look, that
Which
matches my team symbol on my villain right there, up at the top
Yep,
corner.
yep, and that's important for deck construction. If you play somebody outside of your team, it costs more. But you don't in the sample deck, you don't have anybody outside of your team, so you don't need to worry about that. This just indicates that she's a villain, again for deck building purposes. This right here is called the basic effect box. So it's the basic text box for the character. Each one's going to have a different tag to it. So this tag is lasting, meaning it lasts through the entire combat.
Okay.
If I can find you another one here. This one is entry. So entry means when you put it into play.
Okay.
And each one should be pretty. It should make sense. If it doesn't, when you play it, just ask me, and I will explain it.
Yep.
This yellow box is the trait box. You were asking about traits. So
Yeah.
some traits are darker in color, and those traits indicate that they have a mechanic that is tied to them, kind of like a keyword in Magic. They're just kind of a passive effect that's affecting the character. And then there's grayed out ones, and those grayed out ones are just kind of thematic. They tell the story of the character.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the next thing on the
So
character.
Dizzy is somebody who works with a lot of gadgetry, and as such, she helps out some other character as kind of like a sidekick character. So that kind of fits the theme of what she's about. She's about making the gadgets for some other people to use their to do their villainy with.
Exactly. And she is a sidekick. So sidekicks are actually pretty cool because as characters, they can attach to other characters as if they were objects. And I'll talk about objects in a second.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the last thing on the character cards, which is the morality effect. So just like your team leader, if there's a number next to the villainy there, that means you have to have that much villainy in order to use it.
Now, do you
Uh,
pay the villainy, or do you just have to have that's like a gate?
yeah, it's just a requirement. So you don't have to lose the villainy. It's just saying you have to have
Okay.
that much villainy. In order to use it, you turn the card sideways, indicating that you're using it for that effect. And you do that during the assemble sequence. So it's a choice you make. Do I use my villainy effect in the assemble sequence, or do I attack during the attack sequence?
Right.
Um,
So, like this firekin, for example, I could either use it to attack for one, or I could use it for its gain one villainy effect.
exactly, yeah. All right, so let's talk about objects now for a moment. So objects uh, have their cost in the top left. They have their title. Then they have either bonus or penalty numbers to defense and attack. So if
Okay.
there's a benefit or a penalty there for the character, it'll show on there, and you kind of attach it to the character like so, where you can easily see it.
Okay.
This next value here, or this next icon, is object type. So each character can only have one of each object type. But you can have as many objects as you like as long as the objects don't share a type. This object would be, for instance, a gizmo, because it's got the joystick. That's what that object type is.
Okay.
Each object also has a basic effect, so similar to the characters, they'll have a basic effect tag like entry, lasting, whatnot, and you can use that effect there. Um, the blue bar is or key or trait requirements, meaning if there's a symbol in that box, the character attaching it has to also have that symbol. Um,
Right. So let's pretend that this in this blue box there was either a gadgetry or a um. So would gadgetry match?
yeah, so if Gadgetry was here, then she could get Dizzy could attach this, but the Firekin couldn't.
Right. And if sidekick was there, then the same thing. You could either be gadgetry or sidekick would qualify it to be attached.
Yeah, uh, well, if it had two icons in there, it would be both. You would have to have both.
Right. I was just talking about one or the other.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. The last thing on objects is something called excess actions. Excess actions are actions that you can take during the assemble sequence after the object has already entered play. So once the object's in play, um, then the next player would get to take an action. Then when it gets back to you as an action, you can use the excess action on the object and just do whatever it says there. Making sense so far?
I think so.
Okay. So now let's talk about some more of these traits real quick. This trait right here on the Firekin is the
Generic.
generic trait. So the generic trait says that it ignores the law of one. So
Hmm.
the law of one says you can only have one of each character in play that shares a name. So you can't have more than one Dizzy in play. You can't have more than one Professor Furnace in play. But you
Right.
can put as many Firekin into the battle as you want.
That makes a pretty good sense, I think, because they're more of like henchmen.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's some more things to it. We won't get into it during the sample game, but they can do something called ganging up, which makes them even more like henchmen. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's talk about location
Locations.
cards. All right,
Eh,
so the location cards, you'll see in the top left there is a green box. We're going to ignore that for the sample game. That directly deals with the path cards, and because your path card is basically blank for the sample game, we won't get into it. But that's called an influence value. Um, Then you have boons. So you're reading on the turn sequence boons. Boons are the resource that the game grants you. Things like heroism, villainy, clout, card draw, stuff like that. And you
Okay.
can see your boons back here on the reference card that I flipped over for you. Um, and the boons you will gain as we play the game, and it gets to either your control or your secured zone, you'll gain boons, depending on
Nice.
which zone it's on.
So that one gains one heroism or villainy, gains one additional clout, and draws a card.
You got it. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, so you gotta kind of control that in order to get those boons, right?
Yeah, control or secure. So ownership determines whether you secure it or control it. So if you own this card and you win the battle, you move it into your controlled zone. If I own it and you win the battle, you move it into your secured zone.
Okay, so it's almost like a progression of ownership of a territory
Uh,
location.
it'll make more sense once we start playing the game.
Yeah.
All right, so the last thing on location cards is battle effects. So during the assemble sequence, if the location is being contested, we can use the battle effects printed on the location cards. Um, Sometimes there'll be actions, sometimes there'll be passive things that just affect the whole combat. Really depends based on the location. So this one is an action that lets you look at your opponent's hand, kind of thing.
Now, either player can use that?
Yeah. So if it's just a normal action, both players can use it as long as they meet the requirements. Some locations will say like one player per turn or whatnot, but this one is open for both players to use.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Let's talk about combat now. So, like I said, the assemble sequence is the first meat of the combat, right? So then, after the assemble sequence is done, what happens is the first player that passes gets the first opportunity to attack during the attack sequence. Now, the other player can continue to take actions until they pass. Once both players pass during the assemble sequence, it then moves to the attack sequence, all right?
Okay. How many things can you assemble?
As many as you can fit into slots. There are ways to get phantom slots, but that shouldn't come into play during the sample game. Phantom slots is just extra slots beyond 5.
Yeah.
So you can have up to 5 characters and as many objects as you can attach during the assemble sequence, as long as that comes from your hand.
Okay.
All right. So in the attack sequence, let's assume that you passed first. Okay. You have Beowulf out, and I have Fading Memories out. So, assuming that you have the first opportunity to attack, the way that you attack is you exhaust the character you want to attack with. It doesn't matter which slot they're in. You can choose any character you have out.
Yeah.
As long as they're refreshed, you can exhaust them. Now, when they attack, they always attack against my slot 1. Unless you have flight or some other way that attacks a specific slot, you're always going to attack my slot 1. Now, when you attack, you're attacking with your attack value. So in your case, you've got 4 attack plus super strength. That's 5, right? So
Yeah.
5 attacks coming at my 1 defense. So I'm going to absorb that 1 defense, and he's going to be defeated. Now there's
Yeah.
4 attack remaining. So
Okay.
that 4 attack is going to do splash damage. Splash damage looks in slot 2 and slot 3. It's kind of like trample in Magic, right?
Yeah.
It's going to splash down the slots looking for other characters. If there are no more characters, it then goes against my team leader.
Okay.
So that's how you deal damage to the opposing team leader.
Yeah.
The third sequence in a battle is called Battle Resolution. Battle Resolution determines the winner of the battle. It is decided by the player that has the most defense remaining in the battle. So in this case, you would have 2 defense, I would have no defense. So you would win this battle. And assuming that you own this location, it will move into your controlled zone.
Okay.
Everything else, I can probably explain as we go. Now, this guy right here, he does do something called juicing. So if you get this guy out and he juices, juicing is the most powerful thing you can do for a character in the game. It increases defense, attack, and any numbers in text boxes with pink backers. Does that make sense?
I'm looking for the whole juicing thing.
Yeah, it's down here. So it says this card is +1 juiced for each Firekin defeated in this way. So assuming he's +2 juiced, his defense would go up by 2, his attack would go up by 2, and this would go up by 2, but he would have already used that by this point.
All right, how do we keep track of it in there?
I've got dice,
Yep.
and they're color coordinated.
Okay.
All right. Everything else, I think we can just jump into the game with. Did you have any questions before we do?
Um, no, I think we can. I think we can get started here.
All right. So in this game, the first thing that both of us need to do is shuffle up
Yep.
both of our decks. Then we're going to take the top card of our location deck and play it face down to the open zones. All right. Now you are the villain. So in this game, the villain player always goes first against a hero player.
Okay.
If there's a villain versus a villain or a hero versus a hero, it's random. But in this case, you're the villain, so you're get to go first.
Woo ha
So
ha ha.
yep. A villain has to be doing villainous things for the hero to react, right? So,
Yep.
so if you want to start on the turn sequence, we can just walk down it and get to the game.
All right. So boom, 10 clout. Got it. Draw up to 6 cards.
Yep. So we'll both draw 6 cards. There is a mulligan effect for the first turn in this game. So if you don't draw a character, let me know and we'll mulligan.
Okay. 6.
Yeah, so on TTS, if you hover over the deck and hit a number on your keypad,
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, cool. All right.
As so, I gotta look at all my stuff here. Now that clout refreshes to 10 every turn.
It does, yeah, and we also refresh our hand every turn.
Now is that
Yeah, that's important, right? So at the end of every battle, the board state is all the characters and objects are wiped away and moved to the landfill. So
Yep.
nothing is permanent except locations. So that's very different from normal games.
okay? Now there's only 12 cards in the deck. Is that correct?
Yeah, so for the sample game. In the normal game, it's a 40-card deck. But for the sample, this is just simple, easy.
Okay.
We're just going to play through a couple of turns unless you want to keep going.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and read my cards here and try to digest what they do, see what I might want to play in what order. And you said I can attack from any of my slots to your slot 1.
Yeah, when we get to the attack sequence.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and finish up the start of turn order
Okay.
stuff.
So here we have active player, must be me, may gain boons from control locations, that's none. Non-active player may gain boons from secure locations, which is none.
Yep. And now we're to the last thing, which is turning the open zone locations face up. All right, so then you're going to attempt to control or secure. So as the active player, you'll get to choose a location. You can choose open zone locations, or if we had secured zone locations, you could choose those.
Yeah.
If it's open, it costs 1 clout to choose. If it's secured, it costs 2 clout to choose.
Okay.
Again, if you choose mine, it'll move here, and if you win, it'll move to your secured zone. If you choose yours and you win, it'll move to your controlled zone.
Okay, let me see what these two guys do here. So, Hollow Booth, it gives me an extra card draw as my boon.
Yep.
And Hovercar Tollway gives me 2 extra villainy, or in your case, heroic points.
Yep.
Right, heroism points. Okay. So, that might be tricky to determine which one's better. I think probably the villainy points might be better because then I can start casting some of my villainous units. Because my Professor Furnace in hand says I have to have 5 villainy ready to go.
To use that villainy effect.
Yes. But not to play them.
No, not to play them. Nope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the cost to play them is in the top left, and if it had a requirement or something, it would be a passive effect in the text box of the card.
Okay.
And if,
Okay.
like I said, if you have any questions before we really get into it, just let me know, and
What
I'll
does
answer.
targeting mean in this game?
Targeting is similar to other games, is when you would choose a, a card. The chosen card would be the target.
So Firekin, would I be choosing my own Firekin?
Uh, well, for the Firekin, it says other Firekin, right?
Yes.
So if
So,
if I if I were playing Firekin, you could choose mine,
right.
uh, but chances are you're going to be wanting to choose yours.
Right, right. Well, that's what I was saying is if I have multiple.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So if you have multiple out, they really like start to grow.
Okay. So first things first, I need to choose a location.
Yes.
I will choose to contest, and I will try to put this in the contested zone here. Is that correct?
Yep, you got it. And it only costs one because this is from an open zone.
Oh, okay. Good,
All right.
good.
So now we're going to move into the battle. So let me turn on turns because the turns are going to represent our actions, okay?
Okay.
So you are the active player, meaning you get to start us off and you get to take the first action in the battle. Then
Yeah.
after you take an action, I'll get to take an action. The first
S-
action both of us must take is to play a character into the battle.
Yeah. So I can only do one action at a time, right? So I do action, then you do action.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is really where the meat of our turns happens, right? So
Okay.
you're going to take an action. I'm going to take an action. We're going to go back and forth. The first player to pass is the first one that's going to get an opportunity to attack. Uh, and the attack sequence works the same way. Like the first player gets to attack, then the next player gets to attack back and forth as well.
Yeah,
But attacking first is a big thing. So just keep that in mind as we're
for sure.
taking actions.
Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and pay a clout to drop in my Firekin, which
Cool.
doesn't have any villainy requirement. And when can I use the pink ability?
Yeah. So you've played it. You've played the character as your action. Now, when it gets back to you to take an action, as an action, you can use the morality effects on the bottom there.
Okay. And is an action also an attack? Like, can you make an action being an attack, and then you can play more characters after
No.
that?
So right now we're in the assemble sequence. So
Okay.
the assemble sequence is where we're just setting our board up,
We're drawing
and
lines in
then
the sand.
yeah, and then after both of us have finished all of the stuff that we want to do, then we go to the attack sequence where both of us get to attack each other.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to pass the turn to me now since you've played your character. I'm
Yep.
going to go ahead and play a character as well.
Okay,
And
let's
send
take
it
a
down to you.
gander here. Costs 0 clout, has 1 defense, and his heroism ability is gain 1 heroism, and if this card is defeated, you gain 1 heroism.
Yep.
And what's the many people symbol? Generic. Ignores the law of 1. Very good. Yep. And now it's my turn to take an action again now, right?
You got it. Exactly.
And back to you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to spend a clout. I'm going to put someone else gets all the credit into play. He has an entry effect, meaning his effect goes off when I put him into play.
Yep.
And he says I gain a heroism, so I'm going to gain 1 heroism.
Sounds good. Back to you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and use this guy's heroism effect. You won't recall who saved you. I will gain a heroism. Target team card is +1 juiced, and then I discard this card. So we're gonna give this guy +1 juice. I'm gonna gain a heroism, and that guy gets discarded.
Okay. Back to you.
All right. I'm gonna play another. Someone else gets all the credit. I'll gain a
Yep.
heroism. Send it back to you.
Now I can't play more than 5 slots full, right?
Correct. Yeah. If there was some action on a card that allowed you to put characters into play, you could create phantom slots, but I don't think your deck has any way to do that, except for maybe Beowulf does. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So we
So
won't worry about phantom slots.
I can, instead of attacking, so if I can use the villainy ability, but to do so would exhaust him, and then he wouldn't be able to attack. Correct?
Exactly.
Okay. But if I use my other 3 Firekins in the next 3 actions that I have to pump up the first one, then it would make him a 4/1.
You got it.
Now, when you attack, does your hero or villain take damage from extra damage from the defending player?
So are you asking if if I attack you back when you attack me?
So no, if I swing, if I attack with my first Firekin and I hit your guy and say he has 3 attack, right? My Firekin has 1 health, so would
Yeah.
my villain
So
take 2 damage?
no. So unlike Hearthstone or Magic, in this game they don't attack back.
Okay, so they don't trade damage.
Correct.
Okay, so you're literally just pumping up his defense right now.
He's juiced, so he's both. He does have an attack value now.
Yes, but that attack value won't matter unless you're attacking with him, right?
Correct. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so the trick is to be the first person to attack, and the first person who attacks is the first person to pass?
Exactly.
Okay.
I believe. Are you still reading or?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm thinking I have Dizzy and Professor Furnace in hand. I think I'm supposed to play Professor Furnace now, and then attach Dizzy to him after that.
Uh, she does well. Both of them technically like that because Dizzy is attached as an object, so both for him and for her, they both benefit each other.
Yeah, which is what I was thinking with the pairing. Is pretty clearly obvious between the two.
Yep.
I mean, just looking at the artwork, I mean, like she could be. I mean, he could be her father or something. But I think as far as how the procession of strategy works, I should
now,
consider putting
now,
Professor down first.
now there is some strategic choice to not playing cards too, especially on turn one, and that is we're in our secret hideouts. So having more damage than I have character or defense on the board doesn't help you when you're trying to deal damage because I'm in my secret hideout. So
Oh,
sometimes saving cards for turns that you can do big hits is
okay,
better. But that's a choice you make, right? Like, do I
right.
want to do this? Do I not?
So I'm going to go ahead and exhaust this to gain 1 villainy
Okay, and then you can
and
choose another
target.
Firekin
Yeah.
to gain an attack.
Oh,
It's the green one.
Come on. Do, 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 do. Kind of messed with my settings there for a second by accident. Sometimes I wish I could lock in like a setting just a little bit on TTS. But here we go. Okay, we have one on that, and we gain one clout.
One villainy, yeah.
Yeah,
And
what villainy?
if you want to go to the negatives, that's your villainy.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah, because the morality scale actually, if I was to give you heroism, it would subtract from your villainy.
right. But I mean, you can still just use the positive integer, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, it's however you want to do it. That's just the easier way for me to remember.
All right, so it's back to you on your turn.
All right, so I'm going to use his heroism effect. We're going to juice this guy, gain a heroism.
Juicy, juicy. Fading memories. That's right, you're gonna be a fading memory soon. Haha. See, there's a villainous side to me after all.
Yeah, that was a good villain laugh. I think your audience can appreciate that.
Yes. They know. They already know how evil I am. They might. So first player marker. What's this? Villain. I got this first player marker right.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you started us off.
Yeah, Butter Kingly. I hear you, man. It's definitely tricky to get used to all the settings. And I haven't touched TTS for a little while. The game that I had gotten TTS for just kind of went out a little bit ago, so I haven't had a lot of opportunity to practice with it. But now I'm getting back into it a little bit, so now it's my turn again. I can take another action. Time to pump it up. I will gain another attack here
Okay.
and another villainy. And then I guess that's the end of that action, right? So,
All right, I'm going to put understudy into play. He has an entry effect, so I choose a trait, and then the card has the chosen trait when I put him into play. So
oh, trait. Okay.
I'm going to choose durability. Uh,
Durability. Yep.
yeah, it says on the card cannot choose generic.
Ah, yeah,
So
okay. That's fair. That would be pretty funny. Like if you had a card that said like mask or the masked one, or like mask up or something like that would be the name of the ability, and then you could choose specifically. You could choose the generic ability.
yeah, that'd be an idea. We have the opposite of that right now, where generics can basically become a superhero. It's called
Unmasked.
it's
Yeah.
called secret identity.
Yeah, play the those pesky kids pull the mask off card.
I like it.
Yeah, and then they lose their generic. Your identity has been revealed. Now we know who you are. Okay, so you play that guy. You play the understudy, vampire hunter? Question mark. No vampires here, buddy. Just a bunch of living torches.
That's right. No man.
Okay. And then his ability is any power I need. The opponent chooses one for you. You gain 2 heroism, or you gain 1 heroism and refresh this card, which is to recover to untap it, right?
You got it.
And then you can use this ability again. Like, why would I
Now,
why?
each effect is once per turn, unless a card grants them the ability to use it again.
Ah, okay.
So basically what it does is it allows me to attack with him after
Yeah,
I've used heroism.
Right, so you could have one heroism and then attack with him, or you can just have two heroism and keep
Yeah,
him
and
exhausted.
my opponent gets to choose for me. So
Yeah. Alright, it is my turn again. My lava skin boys like to stick together, so we'll. May the power of our flames combine to create an inferno that will burn through our enemies. Or something like that.
love it.
Okay, so yep, and my turn, I guess.
All right, we're gonna use this guy's heroism effect. Everyone and no one. I'm gonna gain 1 heroism, and then if he is defeated, I will gain 1 plus. Wait, he was juiced twice. So he will gain 3 heroism if he's defeated.
Yeah. So how many here? You're up to 5 heroism already.
I am.
What does my dude do here? So villainy, 4. If I have 4 villainy. Does this cost villainy to use?
No, it's just a requirement.
Okay. If your villainy has 4 or higher, you may exhaust this card to use the following effect. Target character loses durability. If the target didn't have durability, deal it 1 damage. Okay, so I mean, it's basically. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and the unique thing about team leaders is their effects are not actions. So if it's your turn, you can use their effect and still have an action left. They're kind of
Why?
like instant speed, right? Like they're super fast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, which are super fast? The villainy abilities?
No, just the team leaders in general.
Oh, all of the abilities?
Yep.
Once per battle, you may refresh a character you control. If you do, this card takes 2 damage. Oh, ouch. Um, self-sacrifice for the greater evil. Payment effect: pay 1 clout, and exhaust this card to use the following effect. Next 2 Fire King characters you play have +1 attack. Well, that's too bad that I went ahead and played all my Fire Kittens.
But you're also in your secret hideout, so you can't use them right now anyway.
Right. Okay, so back to my turn. So I can either play from hand my Professor Furnace, or I can exhaust what I've worked so hard to create, or I can pass and go to and wait for you to pass so that we can go to combat.
Yep, you can do any of those things.
Okay, so that's good. Those are the options we're looking at here. So, strategically wise, let's think about this for a second. I have 4 attack and 1 defense on my Firekin. I can make 1 attack next turn. If I pass now. If I do not pass and I start playing more stuff, I risk you being the one to pass and having the first pass opportunity, or first attack opportunity. In which case, I pretty much wasted my whole turn just to get 3 villainy. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is an accurate strategic thought. Yes.
Okay. So, having the combo of Professor and Dizzy is a strong combo, and these guys would all go away at the end of turn, right?
Yep.
So I don't want to just burn up to use, so to speak, burn up to use these for no reason when I will just be putting myself at a disadvantage. So I am going to make the first pass. This way I can attack first.
All right.
And then hopefully you see your slot 1 guy, even though he's exhausted, is the guy that I'm gonna have to attack.
Yep. You always attack against slot 1 first, unless you have some way to do a targeted attack, like flight. But targeted attacks don't do splash damage. So, All right, so I'm going to play the night vision goggles. I can now look at the top card of a location deck. I'm going to look at the top card of my location deck. I can
Okay.
replace it if I want to by putting it to the bottom of my location deck, which I will.
Hmm.
Next action, I'm going to discard the night vision goggles to use the excess action to give this guy -1 attack.
Okay.
Then going to use my heroism effect on this guy, so you get to choose one of these effects. Or we can just do it this way.
We could, or okay. So then what are you doing?
So you get to choose one of these heroism effects.
So that goes down to 2. That goes back in the bin. So the pluses and minus counters will cancel each other out, right?
Yeah, it's just bonuses and penalties, so they're not
Yep.
even counters.
Okay. And then okay, this guy, the understudy. So you're exhausting him to either gain 2 heroism or gain 1 heroism and refresh the card. Now, if you refresh the card, you can't attack with him anyways. So
I could if he survives. I can't.
if he survives, you can't.
Well, no. If he survives an attack from you, I can attack with him if he's refreshed.
Right. Oh, so you do get to attack.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. The cost to attack is exhausting.
yes, yes. Um, I will go ahead and just let you have 2 heroism.
All right. And that will be me. So I'll pass and send it to you.
All right, now that drops us down to attached to control secure.
That passes us to the attack sequence. So now you get because you passed, you get the first opportunity to declare an attacker.
Okay, that's not in the turn sequence.
It is not. Yeah, in at the bottom here it says, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, place the chosen location in the contested zone and begin a battle. So we are currently in the battle.
Oh, so we skipped ahead and we put.
No, we didn't skip ahead. We're just in the battle.
Okay.
So we did all this, and now we're in the battle.
So did you have to try to select the territory that we're fighting over too? Like, what are we doing with this hollow booth?
No, nothing. So you did this. You
Yes.
chose which location we were going after. That initiated the battle.
Right. And so what about this hollow booth? Is that gonna just go away at a turn, or is that gonna stay in the open spot?
Nope, that'll stay right where it is until somebody snags it up.
And so you're the only one that's gonna be able to put a location into play next turn.
Yeah. So as if I win the battle, this I will get to choose whether this gets replaced or whether it goes back to the open zone. If you win it, then my open zone will be empty, and that means that I will have to place a new location face down there.
How do I determine that I've won the battle?
Battle resolution is determined at the end of the battle by the player that has the most defense in battle.
Is that just between the 2 characters, or like all my characters?
Yeah, that's everything on the board.
Okay.
And that is subtracted by damage on the board. So if I had a character that had a damage on it, my defense would be reduced by 1.
Right, right. So, this dude, fading from memories, is twice juiced, so he's got 3 toughness.
Yep.
And so, my guy has been reduced by 2. He has 1 attack, 1 plus attack. No, he has 2 plus attacks.
Yep.
Hey, Miss Play, how's it going? Yeah, we're checking out some Iionverse right now. It's pretty cool. A little bit of fun. A little bit of fun for the night. So, I believe the correct action here is to just simply... Oops, I hit the wrong button. I'm used to going between Untap and Tabletop, and like I said, it's been a while since I've done Tabletop.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's pretty cool looking. Check out Flame Dude. I've got 4 of them on the field. They make each other stronger. They're like the living torches. And then like he has like secret heroes whose identities are unknown because they're wearing glowing masks or glowing teeth. They're wearing glowing teeth and glowing eyes.
They're all the same guy. People just don't remember who he is.
um, let's see. And I've got an evil techie gadgety type of professor, Professor Furtus. In life, many tests and challenges come to you. You are thrown into the crucible, and how you come out determines the type of person you are, determines your metal. Alright, so, yeah, let's go to combat. Oops, I hit the wrong button again. Silly me.
All right, so you're attacking for 3. So I've got 3 defense.
Yes.
So that is going to defeat me, which will trigger his heroism effect, which will give me 3 heroism. Then it would go to my opportunity to attack, but I'm all tapped out.
Yep.
We're all exhausted out. You're all exhausted out. So now we'll go to battle resolution. So you have
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4 defense. I have 2 defense, so you're going to win this battle.
Yeah.
So because I own this card, it's going to move into your secured zone.
When does it move from secured to controlled?
It doesn't. If I own it, it's in your secured zone. If you own it, it goes to the controlled zone.
Okay.
So
So I
if
can
you
only have one secured zone.
exactly, yep,
So what happens if I try to secure a different zone? Does this one just go away?
yep, you would replace it. So this would go back to the bottom of my library, and the new one would take its spot.
Okay.
The same thing takes place if you have full controlled zones. Your new controlled zone would take up one of the old slots.
Yeah, if I had all 3 controlled zones full.
Yep, exactly. All right, so now at the end of combat, we are going to take all of our characters in play and move them to the landfill. I have to replace my empty open zone, and the active player marker will move to me. Now we are both out of our secret hideouts, so we can damage each other now. And I'll just go back to the turn sequence, start a turn, active player refreshes team leader, so my team leader doesn't need to be refreshed. We're both going to gain up to 10 clout, so both of us will go back to 10. Oh, sorry. The other thing that you can do at the end of a turn is discard any number of cards from your hand that you don't want. So if you didn't want any of the cards in your hand, you can just get rid of them. Otherwise, you can keep them in your hand.
Okay. And then do we both draw up to
Yep,
6 cards?
we both draw up to 6 cards.
Okay.
Active player gains boons from controlled locations. I don't have any. Non-active player gains boons from secured locations. So you're going to gain 2 heroism or villainy, whatever you want.
I suppose villainy should do.
Turn open zone locations face up. So we're going to turn this guy face up here.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. I'm going to
That's
actually
worth
go
fighting for.
That's where I'm going to go. So now I'm going to start us off back in the assemble sequence.
Now, if I win the contested thing, where does it go to?
So if the defender wins, the defender chooses whether it goes back to the open zone, if it came from an open zone, or whether it gets replaced.
Replaced.
Yeah. So basically, like you can choose whether this goes back to the bottom of my deck and gets replaced by the top card, or whether it goes back to the open zone.
And then the top card would go to the open zone?
Exactly. Yeah. So you can if you win, you keep me from getting this awesome card, kind of thing.
So basically, I have to win twice to gain security of that card.
Yeah, correct. If you wanted it, that's
Which
important too.
I don't know why I wouldn't. An extra card, an extra clout, and an extra villainy.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. All right. So now we're gonna go into back into the assemble sequence, and we're just gonna start everything back on the top with me going first this time. So I'm gonna
Yes.
play understudy for 2 clout and choose super strength.
Super strength. Alright, super strength will give you +1 attack when attacking. So you plan on attacking to try to secure this position.
Maybe that may be what I'm doing is possible.
I mean, like, why wouldn't you? It's a good location. I mean, just look at it.
True, and it has a battle effect, so you can use this action on it if you want.
The eye in the sky. What's that? As an action, discard a character from your hand, and then look at your opponent's hand and discard any card. Yep. Alright, so. Now, because Dizzy can come in as a gadget, can I have another Dizzy on play that's not a gadget?
No, so sidekick they retain their name for the law of one effect. So
Yep. Okay.
yeah, so there can still only be one dizzy on the board.
Well, this is cool. I have 3 professors, 2 Dizzies, and 1 Firekin. So,
All right. Now, well, but you also have this available to you, the location. So you could pitch one of your professors.
oh, I have that effect as well.
Yeah, both of us can use that effect because it's not restricted to one player or the
Yeah,
owner or anything like that.
I will. I will pitch
Oh,
a
the
professor.
first the first action you both players must take is always to play a character.
Oh, I will play him then
Okay.
because yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
I'm going to play this guy. You forgot my name. So the next time another character is played this battle, this card is +1 juiced.
Okay. I will play this as a um sidekick.
Okay. So you'll just attach her to him like you would an object. Yep. And she now has +3 attack.
She does, or
Yeah, so he grants the bonus to the object.
so do I get both of their attacks when he attacks?
Yeah, so objects add or they give bonuses or penalties to the character they're attached to. So she is currently giving him +1 defense and +3 attack.
So he has gadgetry, so he's got +1 attack from her. And then she's getting the +2 from him. So she's
Yeah,
got
so
2 attack.
well, so if played as a sidekick onto a character with gadgetry, this card has +1 attack. So she
Okay.
effective has 3.
Okay. And he still has 2. Okay.
Yep,
So if I attack with my Professor Furnace, then I would be attacking for 5.
exactly.
Okay.
We're going to put a Fading Memories into play, which will trigger this guy's juicing effect.
Right, because I didn't play a character, I played a sidekick ability. I played the gear ability, the sidekick ability. Right?
Yeah, so because she didn't come in as a character, so I had to
Yep.
play a character to ping it. And you can use your team leader at any time to interrupt anything. It doesn't count as an action. So
Yeah. So the Firekin characters, is Firekin my hero's clan?
no, so if you look above your text box, that tells you what the name of your team is. That says Demolition.
Okay. Alright, so he's literally just talking about literally the Fire King creatures.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool, cool. So, Disney's second ability right now doesn't make any sense for this limited deck.
Right, unless you had another object.
Right. Which, obviously, I don't think we have one, so. Professor Furnace's second ability is gain 2 villainy, and the opponent deals 1 damage to any character they control. Burn it all down. Oy vey. Got a lot of defense out there. So my villain's abilities, they don't count as an action for the turn.
Not on your team leader card.
Yeah. And how many times can I play a team leader abilities in a round in a turn?
Uh, well, each card can only be used, or each effect can only be used once per turn on any card, unless otherwise stated. However, your team leader card, once you use either of these effects, you're going to exhaust them. So if it's exhausted, you can't use it for its other effect.
Right. I can't. So I wouldn't be able to use it for its second ability. Or the I was yeah. So yeah, I was looking at using my villainy 4 effect to try to hit your durability, dude.
Okay.
Would that take up my action for the turn?
No, the team leaders do not count as your actions.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't take actions. They can be used to interrupt anything at any time, and they don't take up actions.
Hmm. I don't know if I have exactly the right tools I need. Oh, I can use the Great Dome too.
Yep.
What do you got for cards in hand? 3 cards left. Wait. I don't know what to do. Let's see. I don't think I have a very good, clean line of strategy here. Let's see. I think the problem is more of just a card selection. I think so because you have 2, 5, 6 defense on board right now. I have 6 attack. I have sorry, I have 5 attack on board. So I couldn't kill your defenses, but your guys still have enough attack to be able to kill my guys.
Could always pass so you can attack first too.
Right. But the thing is, I wouldn't be able to kill your team, and your team's not exhausted.
Well, that's true.
So you would be able to still, because my professor and my Dizzy wouldn't die, right? Because they would. Oh, they don't take damage, right? If I attack
Uh,
first.
yeah, they won't take damage back until I attack you.
Right. So if I can clear your first 2 guys, which is still even questionable. Now, if I pass, can I still use my villain ability? My team leader's abilities?
Yes, you can use your team leader ability to interrupt anything at any time as long as you meet the requirements.
Okay. Let's see here. Alright, I'll pass.
All right. So because you're passing, I know you're going to get to attack first. So let's go ahead and use this guy's effect. You get to choose one of his, which one I get.
So, I can have him refresh because he's gonna die, right? Theoretically.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, let's just do that again, I guess.
Okay.
Now, when does the heroism and villainy end up starting to matter? Like past like the initial like 4 or
In
7 or 5?
the sample game, it matters for you only if you're activating effects. For
Right.
me, it matters if I hit 20 heroism because I win the game if I hit 20.
Okay.
All right. I'm then going to utilize this guy's heroism effect, and if he dies, I'll gain more.
Yep.
We'll do it again. Same thing. And I will go ahead and use my Great Dome Eye in the Sky to look at your hand.
Okay.
And we'll get rid of this card. And then I'll pass. And you will get the first opportunity to declare an attack.
Okay, so let's see here. What's that star ability? What's that star on the entry?
It's Deity, which doesn't have a mechanical benefit.
Okay. Oh, that's the flavor. Okay. Okay. Yep, yep, yep. So the you forgot my name has durability.
It does.
I'll go to use. I did it again. I'm gonna use my villainy ability.
Okay. So he does not have durability, is what you're
So
saying.
he loses durability. Yeah. So here he's got what, 1 juiced on him.
Yep.
Alright, so I think I just lost anyways. Because you're gonna end up with 3 defense to my 2, right?
No, probably more than that because I'm going to be attacking you back.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, just go through the motions now.
Okay, so he'll die, and
Yep.
this guy will take.
He'll take 2, right?
Oh, two. Sorry.
Wait, so defense 2
Oh,
on
three.
the understudy, so 3. 3 goes over to him, but he has 3 defense plus the 1 juiced. So
Yep.
he's got 1 defense left.
Yep. So now we'll attack you for 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep, and I've only got 2 defense, and
Yep.
so the rest goes to my hero.
Exactly. And then I will win that fight and move it into my controlled zone. And the sample game is set up to just play through a couple rounds, so we can finish the game off if you want to. But the sample game is just set up to just play through a couple rounds.
Yeah.
So it is up to
Okay.
you.
Do you have more cards for a bigger game?
Yeah, absolutely. All of these over here are pre-made decks,
Okay.
and there are some more advanced rules in the comprehensive rules. So the sample is just designed to kind of teach the very basics of the game. Um, there are some advanced rules that we didn't really talk about that come into play far more often in normal games.
And alright, way up here we got a ton more stuff. And this is for deck building up top here, right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. And so like this pile up top here, those are extra win conditions.
Yeah, so the path cards give you extra win and loss conditions. Some of them are unique ways to win, like this one.
You in the
Most
game, if
of
you remove from the game the following characters using the below influence ability. A generic, a 1 cost non-generic, a 2 cost, and a 3 cost. You lose the game if your opponent has all of the above in play at the same time. Okay.
most of them have win and loss conditions that are based on heroism or villainy, but like I said, some of them are unique. But they all give you different effects. So the influence values are directly tied to the location cards. So if you look at the normal location cards, they all have numbers on them. So when you take a location into your control, once you take it into your control, if it has a number that matches that number on your path, you unlock that effect on your path.
Also, you don't get the path unless you control a location
Yeah, well, you
of that
don't get
number.
that influence value or that influence effect on the path.
Right, so you want to end up controlling a location with 2 so that you can use its abilities in order to start
Right, exactly.
removing
Yeah,
things
for this
from
for
the game.
this one specifically, yes.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'll understand one card at a time.
Um, some other things like so Butters in the chat brought
Yeah.
up he brought up something that he asked if it was in the demo game, and I said no. So the law of one allows you to discard a character that shares a name with it that's non-generic to juice that character by +1 as an action.
Oh,
So
okay.
so the situation where you had 2 Professor Furnaces, you can
Yeah.
dump one from your hand as an action to juice the other one by +1. That's called or that's the law of one benefit. The other things
That would have been
are
useful.
the other things you with your team leader, you can do something called jumping in. So you can exhaust your team leader to put a character into play for 0 cost that shares a name with it.
Mm.
So you could put Professor Furnace into play for free, essentially.
Okay.
Um,
But from the graveyard.
no, from your hand.
Okay.
Um, let's see. The generic characters have an ability called Gang Up, where you can put them all in a stack, and they count as one character for the stack, and they all add defense and attack values to each other. So it makes it like kind of like an army.
Yeah. So my firekin, for example, like that first turn where I just laid out a bunch of firekin and said I could put them all in one slot.
Exactly. Yep. That's called ganging up. So those are some of the more advanced rules that we don't talk about in the sample game. Uh, but they add some flavor and stuff like that to the game. So
Yeah. Definitely would have added a few potential benefits, like having all of these guys. So let's see what the other two cards are in this deck. Oh, let's see. Goggles and Beowulf. So the two cards that were completely different from anything else in the entire deck were the two bottom cards. That's just
yeah,
perfect, isn't it?
right. Yeah, and Beowulf is your most powerful card too.
Right, right. Yeah, let me look at him go. Big old lava boy. Alright. And then I got night vision goggles. Look at the top card of a location deck. You may put it into the bottom of this location deck. What's an XS action? Is that pretty much like a free action?
Yeah, it's like an extra action that the object can do after you've put it into play.
Okay.
So like once it's in play, uh, you play that, then it goes to my action. Then when it gets back to you as an excess extra action, you can use that effect.
Okay.
And that was the other thing. So sidekicks can use their villainy effects on their cards as excess actions by spending one clout.
Okay.
So that's another thing sidekicks can do.
Yeah, it seems like there's a couple of things to try to keep in mind as you go. So, it was probably good that I took the hover car tow away from you at the first
Yeah,
turn, because that
true.
would have gotten you to your win con of getting 20 heroism.
Yep. Yeah, there was the sample game. That's the comic. It's kind of a how to play. Uh, it's a how to play simple rule guide that teaches the very basics of the game and gives you a little lore.
Yep,
The comprehensive rule book is up at the top in the notebook,
the
and I
notebook.
also posted. Yeah, at the top of your screen it says notebook.
Yeah,
I also posted a fairly up to date one on my Discord, but it doesn't have the gang up rules as we're testing them now, or the first player to pass attacks rule.
alright. So that the people in the chat can check out this book here a little bit.
If you hit at the top left, there's this pop out to screen thing.
Mm. Oh. Okay. Yeah, it does make it bigger, I suppose. So here's the how to play in comic book form, which is obviously very appropriate for the style of game. Did you also have a comic video you did for this too with these?
Yeah, it's the same exact thing, but it's just a motion comic of it.
Yeah.
Let me